there's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father.
Man, this stuff rocks.
This is Sergio Amalfitano from ACxDC, Antichrist Demoncore, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I am your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father. And as always, I'm bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today it's an honor and a huge privilege to have Sergio Amalfitano, vocalist of Antichrist Demoncore, a.k.a. ACxDC. This is Antichrist Demoncore's debut release on Prosthetic Records. Antichrist Demoncore are coming out swinging 5 years after their last full-length and 4 years after their last EP. Antichrist Demoncore seemingly stored up enough bile to fill several records for now. So they actually have the new album, Satan is King. That's going to be out today, actually, May 15th, the day of this interview. But when it's posted, it'll be after the album is out. So anyway, check this album out when you get a chance. So Sergio, how you doing, man? And welcome to the show.
I'm good. Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
Doing awesome. Glad to have you on here. So let's jump right into this. How's it been working with Prosthetic Records so far for you guys?
It's been super chill. I mean, the relationship came about organically. Taylor Young, our producer, who is also in Nails, he recorded us and kind of shopped it around. And Prosthetic was basically the same as working with, To Live a Lie or Molotov, like DIY labels that we worked with forever, just on a bigger scale, So it's not all, lawyers and crazy jargon and all that sort of stuff. It's been super chill, and couldn't be more excited to do this with them.
And especially coming over to a new record label, that this has got to be a breath of fresh air for you guys as well.
Yeah, I mean, we just like working with people that want to work with us, that have faith in, kind of what we're doing and how we do it. Molotov, To Live a Lie, they've always been there for us, and we're still going to continue to work with them whenever we do like smaller releases, like EPs or splits or whatever. And Prosthetic is totally on board with that. We just are basically going to be handling all the future LPs with Prosthetic.
Okay, so I'm going to throw this out here. Is this album a response to Kanye West's Jesus is the King album? Satan is King is the antidote to excess, greed, and mindless indulgence. But let's talk about that a little bit. Is this a response to Kanye's album, Jesus is King?
Yeah, absolutely. It was, at first, it was just kind of a joke. I just kind of threw it out there. I was like, hey, what if we do this Satan is King thing, as a diss to Kanye? Because, I mean, culturally, Kanye is a huge part of American culture, and he kind of embodies that, Christian values, but the excessive Christians, the right-wing Christians, the Trump Christians, the, what do you call it, the prosperity gospel, you know what I mean? So this was definitely against that. This was definitely a nod towards a little diss, fuck you, towards Kanye. And all people of his ilk that kind of believe and act as he does,
What's impressed or excited you the most about making this debut album for Prosthetic Records, Satan is King, if anything? What stands out the most for you about it, possibly, Sergio?
Well, so oddly enough, our bassist has been with us for 5 years, but he never recorded anything with us. And then our guitarist is new. He joined the band when we kind of came back about a year ago. So this is the first thing we actually get to record with our full lineup, with the full lineup. Other recordings we had done with, like, okay, our guitarist, my brother is like, you're going to play bass and guitar on this recording, or, so-and-so is going to play half the songs and you're going to play the other half of the song. So this feels a lot more cohesive, which I think kind of lends itself to why, the songs sound a little bit more raw and visceral, in your face and vicious. Like, from my point of view, like, this material, along with the recording, Taylor just killed it. So this material is just like my favorite by far. I like all the other stuff. I'm not taking shit on all my other past catalog, but But you know, like I definitely am enjoying this right now. You know.
How long did it take to write and complete Satan is King?
So we had been writing on and off. You know, we went to Latin America on tour, and we were writing some songs over there in like Costa Rica. We wrote some songs in Mexico. We wrote some songs, and you know, we had just kind of been not you know, sitting down to write it. I think for the last maybe 2 months was when we were really like, hey, let's fine tune the ideas that we've had. You know, we had maybe like enough songs for like 20, 23, 24 tracks, something like that. But we really fine-tuned it down to 18 that we recorded and about 15 that actually ended up on the record.
Any tracks standing out more to you than any right now on the album? I know this must change every time you talk about it or you listen to it, and I know these are your babies, but do you have any that stick out for you possibly, man?
I'm a big fan of Gorged. That track sticks out to me only because it sounds almost like Drop Dead, you know, almost like a DB kind of Scandinavian crusty sort of thing, but also very grindcore, almost Brutal Truth influenced. You know, Satan is King is just a really fun sing-along to me. Like, I really enjoyed that song. You know, Cocksuckers is funny. So there's a lot of songs in there like that I enjoy for different reasons. Singe I liked because I'm a huge Planet of the Apes fan. Finally got to write a Planet of the Apes song. Mata Pacos I like because it's our first Spanish song. I had other bands before where I had songs in Spanish, but I finally just kind of decided like, hey, why don't I do this for this band too, you know?
You mentioned Planet of the Apes. I like that movie.
Yeah.
So are we talking about the original 70s, or do you like the remakes possibly?
I like all of them. The Tim Burton one is okay, but I do enjoy the original 5 that came out. I have the DVD box set with the 5 and the making of. I have a Hail Caesar tattoo with a Caesar on my leg. And, I grew up with them with my dad. So I've always been a very huge fan of it, you know. I rewatched them recently, and I'm like, no wonder I have the politics that I have and why I'm vegetarian and why I'm very, like, anarchist and almost primitivist and almost anti-human, you know. I'm just like, dude, Planet of the Apes totally put me up. But
Cornelius, no.
Yeah. It totally ruined my life, you know, but in a good way.
They're good movies. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, they epitomize of what, I guess, makeup and masks and stuff like that. The very first part of, I guess, prosthetic stuff, if that makes sense, that you can actually use. I mean, above their time.
Tying it into Prosthetic records, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, like,
see what you did there.
The makeup is amazing. I still think it's really good, you know, for the time being. And, you know, to have a hard sci-fi movie about, you know, talking, apes that take over the world in the 70s, I think it's pretty bold and it's very nihilistic. And I think the original draft was written by Rob Serling, so it has that Twilight Zone, which I'm a huge fan of as well, you know? It has those vibes. So, yeah, I'm just a massive fan of that whole franchise.
Are there any songs, Sergio, that didn't make Satan is King that we could see down the line on an EP or a possible another album from you guys, maybe?
Yeah, there's about 3 songs that we recorded that we said, you know what, like, let's trim it down. Let's just kind of keep it a little bit more punchy and in your face and not so long and winded. Not that, you know, 24 minutes is long or 30 minutes is even that long for an LP, but we took 3 songs off because we did plan, or we are planning to have maybe a split or a single-sided EP come out in the future. And there's definitely at least 4 or 5 demo songs that we had kind of hashed out, but we just decided, no, it's not really fitting the vibe of this album. So we definitely have a lot more music coming out in the future. Was
it hard to choose between the current set of songs, which one would be the first single you wanted to release for the album?
I mean, I think we just kind of had to hit it with, Satan is King, just as it is fun. It is kind of, you know, bouncy and energetic, and it moves you forward. I think it has a very cool, like, kind of balance between metal and death metal and hardcore. So I think that one is fairly representative, even though that's kind of the only song that really references Satan out of the whole Satan is King album. The rest is kind of politics or whatever else,
Writing the new songs, does it challenge or push you guys to come up with something new and stay fresh with Antichrist Demoncore's music these days, possibly, or is it easier now?
No, I don't think it's. I think it's just as as it was a couple of years ago. Like in terms of me writing lyrical content, I tend to get a lot of pop culture references and movies and TV shows and kind of things that's happening in the media. That always influences me a lot in terms of lyrics. In terms of music, it's really just kind of what's coming out at the moment, or what we're listening to at the moment. And we all have very eclectic taste. So there's stuff on this album that, comes from funk. You're not going to hear slap bass, but it's a funk beat, Mm-hmm. It comes from Phantom of the Opera, because I'm a huge Phantom of the Opera fan. So there are moments that if you kind of know where we got it from, if I pointed it out to somebody, they'd be like, oh, shit, that is Phantom of the Opera, or that is Atomic Dog by George Clinton, you know what I mean? So there's a lot more influences that happen that we just kind of filter, towards our sensibilities of what ACDC likes,
So you guys returned to producer Taylor Young, who's worked with Nails and Twitching Tongues, who recorded and mixed Satan is King at the Pit Recording Studio in Van Nuys, California back in November. Working with him, does he get something out of you all that maybe another producer may not possibly?
I think what he does, what he brings to the table, is that he understands kind of all genres and subgenres of metal and hardcore, like he plays it. He lives it. He tours it. He's been in lots of different bands. He's a multi-instrumentalist. So he really kind of understands the references when you say, hey, I want this to sound kind of like, some original death metal band. I want this to have this kind of thrashing municipal waste feel. I want this to have this. And he's also very hands-on with producing, like if he's like, hey, that fill is a little too crazy for this part. Let's tone it down a bit. Or, hey, you're kind of throwing in too many syllables in the lyrics. How about you cut it in half or something? So he's very hands-on. He does amazing work in terms of having a very high energy recording. A lot of people will record this and kind of have a lo-fi flat sort of sound. But this is like super bass heavy, super punchy, almost sounds like it's like about to peak, but at that level where he knows what he's doing. It's not peaking, but it gives you that energy, that kind of like almost live show feeling. So
who did the artwork for this album?
So our buddy Dylan Garrett Smith, he did artwork for our bassist other band Tide Mouth, and he kind of does all this stippling artwork. I kind of give him the concept of like, hey, I want, this satanic cloaked figure kind of surrounded by ivy and thorns, as a reference to the Garden of Eden. And it ties into another EP that we're going to be doing. He did artwork for our future EP. And, he definitely brought the concept out in an awesome way that's going to tie into future releases as well.
Do you see this band still musically growing from album to album and from where it started from till today? Yeah,
I think so. I mean, when we started, we were just kind of, kids in high school, kids just right out of high school. We didn't listen to the massive amount of music that we, listen to now, and or have access to it even. So I think we have a lot more influences. I think just by the very nature of changing so many band members over the years, we've changed sounds. You can definitely hear like, oh, this is more of a hardcore ACDC. This is more of a metal ACDC. This is more of a grindcore ACDC. So there's definitely periods in time in the band that you can tell we've switched up approaches, which is just natural. We've never set out to be any type of band, but I think because we like so many genres, we easily get lumped into like power violence, because power violence is a little bit of everything.
What do you hope everyone takes away, or message you hope they hear, Sergio, while listening to any of Antichrist Demoncore's music in general? What do you hope they get from it?
I mean, for me, it was just cathartic. For me, it was, writing lyrics about things that I hate, things that I see as hypocritical, things that I dislike in the world out there, and hopefully other people can relate to it. on a positive note, like try to relate to it in a way of like, well, there's other people out there that also feel the same things that I feel. They also kind of dislike that there's this type of hypocrisy that exists in, mainstream culture or whatever, be it Christianity or any religion, consumerism, exploiting humans or exploiting animals or whatever. I think our main thing would be to push that idea of Satan as a liberator, as be a free thinker, think for yourself, listen to people who have more knowledge than you, but, make up your own mind ultimately.
Yeah, and right now it's the biggest thing ever because I personally don't know what to believe anymore. This coronavirus just came out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I don't know what to believe anymore. You see all this shit on Facebook, and you go to CNN, you go to MSNBC. It's like, what's the truth? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, for me, again, personally, I think having anecdotal information is awesome. Like I had, my mom just got diagnosed with coronavirus like 3 days ago. I had a friend that just died of it like 2 weeks ago. So it's a very real thing to me, but I do believe that we should be listening to authorities and make the differentiation between authorities that take power from a gun or take power because they're in a government or take power because they're in the military, and authorities that, are the authorities in their field that understand, scientific information or whatever. So I'm definitely leaning towards, be a rebel against people that want you to conform, but not when it's for your safety, not when it concerns the safety of everybody around you. That just makes you kind of a dick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And again, like, I believe everybody can believe whatever they want. If you don't want to, I don't know, get vaccinated or something, that's fine, but don't force it on others.
Mm-hmm.
I think the second that people force things on others when it doesn't affect them, I think it's kind of sketchy territory,
Agreed.
But,
and
yeah.
I'm sorry about your mom being diagnosed with the coronavirus. Hopefully it's nothing serious, you know what I mean? And you've got it in time and get it out and get it done, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we can't do anything about. You kind of have to wait, so we'll see.
What can fans expect at a show from ACDC from you guys? What are they going to get when they come to see you all live?
I mean, I think it depends on what they want to bring to the table, Like, when we write music, we write it to try to convey energy, And if people come to a show and they are not feeling that energy, if their energy themselves is kind of laid back or they're scared, that's what they're going to get, We're there to have fun. If you want to steal the microphone from me and sing along, if you want to crowd surf and mosh and, enjoy yourself, awesome. We've never been the type of band to encourage violence, just for the sake of violence, but it's cathartic and fun, and everyone's enjoying themselves. Amazing, So we're there to give you a soundtrack to have fun. If you're there to not have fun, you're not going to have fun.
I may take you up on that offer to come on stage and take your microphone and sing.
Yeah, just do it. Yeah.
I may just do that.
I'm just a singer. I'm the least important guy in the band. So.
What made you want to become a musician, Sergio? What was that spark for you that said, yeah, that's what I want to do, or maybe even attempt it?
I mean, I wish I had a cool answer, but basically, like, an original guitarist asked me, hey, do you want to join this band? And I had never been in a band. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll try it, and it just kind of kept going, and kept going. Like, I wish I could say I was technically a musician where I actually play music, like guitar or bass, but I don't. So for me, it's just, how can I convey things lyrically or vocally, or, I silk screen. So how can I convey things through imagery? I come up with a lot of the artwork concepts. I come up with a lot of, the merchandising and all that sort of stuff. So that's what I do. Being a musician, I don't know. I mean, with me, it's just fun. I just like to travel. I like to, be in a band with friends and kind of play the music that they want to do, because they're mostly responsible for the music writing.
Since almost everyone is in quarantine and we're starting to get back out there just a little bit from the coronavirus, do you think concerts and festivals will have the same impact as before with sales and attendance? Or do you think this has hurt in the long run coming up with all this, because things are not going to be the same once everything gets lined out again.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that, once these things sort of start opening up and people are excited to go to these things, it's just going to blow up and everybody's going to be enjoying themselves and not take these shows for granted, Before it was kind of like, there's, being in LA, there's like, there's 50 shows tonight. I don't really care to go to any of them because you take it for granted because you go to so many shows. Hopefully now people will be a little bit more active and be more supportive of, artists and musicians and whoever's coming by, your city. But I do think that a lot of DIY venues, a lot of smaller venues are going to be hurt, depending how we open up. Energy is going to be weird. You might want to be away from each other. You might, I was reading that you can't crowd surf now, or you can't, mosh or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know if it's going to translate well for all types of music. I highly doubt that Power Violence and Grindcore shows would be like, those EDM shows where people show up in their cars and they just watch a DJ from their cars. So I don't think that's gonna work for us, So it all kind of depends, but I'm hoping for the best, As long as we're all safe, it is what it is.
I had seen where they were talking about people, just like a drive-in show, and I was like, well, wait a second.
Yeah.
How does that even remotely going to work,
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I mean, virtual shows, Zoom shows or whatever, that's not going to translate well, This type of music is meant to be kind of experienced physically, like in a very physical sense, unless we started doing acoustic sets, which is something we could maybe look into.
That may be something I might talk to you guys about doing for my show when I do my live stream stuff later on.
It would be fun. It would definitely be interesting to do an acoustic set for ACDC.
Is there a country that stands out or shocks you that Antichrist Demoncore's music gets support from, or your music gets played in possibly?
We got asked to play Nepal and India right before this whole quarantine kind of started happening. We were making plans to head over there. I was pretty shocked about that. I was pretty excited for that because I don't think any band of our genre has ever been over there, So that would definitely be like the first that I would love to, participate in. And, I mean, luckily we've, been able to play China and Korea and Japan, and Southeast Asia would be awesome. But I'm always excited whenever anybody listens to the band anywhere, Russia and all over the world. I'm like, hell yeah, that's cool,
I'm just going to say this right now, and I don't gloat about anything, but I've been doing this for 9 years, and I just now started doing stuff on Podbean, putting my stuff up there. And I got very excited when I saw a couple. Actually, there's a ton of people from Australia started listening to my podcast. Yeah. I was like, hell yeah!
It's awesome. It's awesome to just be able to be heard everywhere in the world and have people say come to my city, come over here. Mm-hmm. I would love, when we did Latin America, I was super excited. I would love to go to South America. We had planned to go to South America, but that tour got canceled. This was before quarantine, just some stuff fell through. But I'm from Argentina, so I would love to go travel and, actually be able to play my music in my home country. So
now, I know when you were younger, you had to have a favorite song and a favorite album. I know you had a ton of music growing up as well. But did you just have that one go-to song or album that just let you escape or made you think, man, things are going to be better. This is all I need right here?
I think Nirvana was the highest impact band in my life ever. Unplugged in New York, I listened to, in 94 when Kurt Cobain died, and that was my exposure to Nirvana. And from then on, it was I would listen to their interviews or read their interviews, and they'd say, check out Black Flag, or check out Circle Jerks, or check out Subhumans, or whatever, check out vegetarianism, check out these, philosophies or whatever. So Nirvana, hands down. My favorite album from them would be In Utero. In Utero is very heavy. Steve Albini, he recorded it. He records tons of hardcore bands too. So I think for sure Nirvana.
How crazy is that? Because the interview I just did was from a band called Little Triggers from London, England. And
nice.
The cool part is In Utero has been in both of these interviews. For Jay, the drummer, the same thing for him. In Utero was the biggest album impact on him from Nirvana.
I mean, they're a very iconic band. You know, they're one of those bands that in the 90s kind of elevated punk rock to this higher status, you know? And everything after them, they were, I don't know, the Beatles of our generation or whatever the hell. I don't know. That's a lame reference, but, you know, because I know there was underground stuff totally happening at the same time, but they just were that kind of gateway to everything, you know, pre-internet.
Yeah, exactly. But for In Utero, though, in that category of all the albums that they had, that was kind of an underrated album, actually, in my opinion.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, everybody likes Nevermind. Nevermind's a great album.
Right.
I love Bleach. It's very dirgy, but all their albums sound very different. I think all of their albums sound very different. And of all of them, I think In Utero has just a heavier sound, a cleaner sound, I don't know, like his vocals are just more impactful. Everything about that album is awesome.
It's more raw, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, like, I mean, I think maybe because, you know, Albini recorded everything live, you know, so maybe it just has that kind of immediacy of playing live together versus just, you know, tracking and overlaying things. So it definitely has a different vibe than most rock and roll of that time, I would say, or of most eras or whatever. So,
folks, you want to get out and pick up Antichrist Demoncore's Satan is King album, which is out today, the day of this interview, but when this airs, it'll be already out. So please get out and pick this up. You will not be disappointed. Great music from these gentlemen, and support them. So Sergio, how can folks stay in touch with you guys? Buy some merchandise, tour dates, everything when all this gets back to normalcy. How can they do that?
Yeah, I mean, we're on like most of the major social media stuff, you know, Twitter, Instagram is most of the time is just ACxDC or ACxDC666. Facebook too. We post on there daily, every other day, you know, whatever little crap we have coming up. So, and links and all that stuff. You know, we have Bandcamp and everything. ACxDC.bandcamp.com. You know, we always post our merch and our links, so we're fairly accessible.
Before I let you go, good sir, would you care to do a promo for my show?
Sure, yeah. This is Sergio Amalfitano from ACxDC, Antichrist Demoncore, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and BODS Mayhem Hour podcast. Please get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link, YouTube link, and everything that we are affiliated with. And trust me, we are all over every platform just about. Hopefully soon we will be doing some live stream on Facebook and doing some interviews that way and some acoustic stuff as well. And also, please get out and support Antichrist Demoncore, a.k.a. ACDC. Check these guys out. You will not be disappointed, and please check out their new album and pick it up, Satan is King, and give these guys a fair chance. Sergio, my man, I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck, and you're always welcome on here anytime you guys need anything.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.